Hello. Hello, friends. My name's Hysteric. I'm just talking with fast people. And, good morning. Hello, Caroline. I have been watching this kind of video called Customer States, which is like, it's this compilation of videos from different car mechanics that like people come in with really dumb like for example, lady comes in, brings her car in and says it's got a weird thumping when I'm driving, and she thinks that there's some sort of problem with the engine, but she's actually got a flat tire. She's just been unaware of it this whole time. Well, I could totally make this show of customer states because, after all, I'm the guy who called the air conditioning repairman to figure out what was wrong with the air conditioning in the other house, only for him to come out and tell me, you don't have any air conditioning. It's that kind of thing, right? Well, when I see how some of these people's cars, they bring them to the shop, I think, hey, you know what? I actually take pretty good care of my car. Which is not really my style, but anywho, let me pull up the chat on the big screen here. Once I got sucked into a bit of a here we go, got it up now. Started watching these videos called like they just have like plain titles like people doing amazing things or something, but it's actually these videos, they're like compilations of people like being ninja or whatever, or falling down and stuff. But the reason I start watching them is because I have these thumbnails of these like chicks in bikinis and stuff. No, not the Red Bull ones. It's these ones where like some of the little videos that they put string together are videos of like somebody doing impressive shit, like doing pull-ups horizontally and stuff. But there's a combination of some fails and some not fails, right? But the thing that gets me watching them is so I started watching. I clicked on one of them because it had this thumbnail of like chicks in bikinis and stuff, and then it's like, you know what, Eric, if you're gonna bother watching this shit because you're trying to look at chicks in bikinis, you might as well just watch pornography. But I didn't watch pornography. But regardless, um, I stopped watching this because I realized, like, what are you doing? You're just waiting for all the bike fails. They just seem to gently glide away, not doing yourself. I want to videotape me hitchhiking and hoping to get taken advantage of. A good idea or a bad idea? I think it's a bad idea. I mean, if you're just looking to get like have sex with a stranger, then you don't need to do that via hitchhiking. But different people have different kinds of fetishes. Oh yeah, I've done plenty of hot rails. Sure. What I like to call one of the greatest inventions in drug history. Gee, don't say those things. That's not a nice thing to say. Well, I do like I do like amphetamines, but that doesn't mean that I'm doing hot rails right now. I haven't done math in a while, quite a while actually. Now my amphetamines are just um, plain old Adderall. Best and worst short lessons on drugs and drinking you've seen over the years. Well, I had to quit drinking myself. The thing is, the most important lesson about drugs and alcohol is that everybody has their own relationship with each different substance, and each of those relationships is distinct, right? So I had to quit drinking, but I didn't quit doing drugs because I had a bad relationship with alcohol. Drinking alcohol made me make bad decisions about drinking alcohol. So, um, so it's like whatever lessons I have about drugs and alcohol may or may not actually apply to you, right? But my experience is like so you want your drugs to be as sustainable as possible. You want and when you're young, you can sustainably do more stuff, you know. As you get older, your constitution starts to be a little less you're drinking Jim Beam Peach to help the pain because you just had your top teeth pulled. Well, I'm not one to judge other people's intoxicant usage. Just because I can't drink alcohol successfully doesn't mean other people can't. Another thing I would say is ideally keep your vices isolated. So, you know, I guess what I mean by that is like, yeah, you do pick up life lessons. I mean, whether or not they apply to you is another question. But like when I say don't mix your vices, if you're doing drugs and alcohol, do drugs and alcohol. Don't start also having an orgy. You know. Hi, Rahul viewer. Alcohol, says here Lamb, isn't really sustainable at all due to hangovers. Well, that's for people who have a problem with alcohol here, Lamb. I mean, like my mom, she'd have like one glass of wine occasionally. I don't think she'd get hung over from that, but that's not everybody. Certainly wasn't me. My dad was a. Nothing's wrong with orgies if that's what you wanted to be doing as a vice, right? What I'm saying is, you probably don't want to mix your vices. So if you're going to go gamble, don't get drunk and gamble, right? Just gamble. If you're going to go have an orgy, just have an orgy. Try to keep things in their lane. Hero Lamb says, I can't moderate most stuff in life, so I can't do drugs because I do everything excessive. I tend to do everything excessive too, which is why you know, I can do some drugs, certain drugs, and not others, because certain drugs you can abuse better than others, you know? Like, obviously, you could smoke infinite weed and it's not a big deal because the more you smoke, the less it affects you. Stock market's in the shit right now, huh? Let's go back up. Yeah, I do things a little excessive. So we got a couple of chores I need to do this morning, which is kind of why I started streaming. Besides just being interested in talking about customer states. I've had two instances of customer states since I moved here. One was the example of me calling the air conditioning repairman to because my air conditioning wasn't working at the other house, and he comes and tells me, "You don't have an air conditioner." I felt pretty dumb. But even worse, it was the time I called the electrician, and all he had to do was push the little button on the outlet. Oh God! They even tried to tell me that on the phone, but I haven't gotten it done. No, I yesterday I got some taping done. Today maybe I'll go over and I'll do the trim in that room. I've got a fair amount more work to go, but it's pretty pleasant work, really, all things considered. I can do it at my own pace, and if I go over there pretty much every day and get a little bit of stuff done, it'll be done before too long. You know. Dang, bro, don't yell at the eyes coming near you at nighttime. They may be headlights. Good advice. I'll try not to yell at the yes. All right, let's go outside for a second. Let's have a cigarillo. And let's look at the snow. That's right, because it snowed here a couple days ago. Might snow again in the next couple of days, too, according to weather meowing. You can see we've got some, I think it's rabbit tracks here in the snow. I think these are rabbit tracks. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's rabbits. These are footprints from a human being, namely Rachel. She was going up to get the mail. It's a nice snowy day. Am I a descendant of Aristotle? Not that I know of. Maybe I've got a little Aristotle in my family history, but if I do, I don't know that. I don't know how one would even Oh yeah, it's very nice out. It's nice to have a little bit of snow. Yeah, that's Rachel's footprint here, Len. That's why it's so small. The higher observer. Yeah, if we're talking Greek philosophers, I'm more, I guess, aligned with, positive about Plato than about Aristotle or Socrates. Ten plus or minus. I don't know what that means. Oh, the temperature. Oh, it's 47 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm not sure what degrees that is Celsius. (47 degrees Fahrenheit) should be about like maybe 12 degrees Celsius. You look like one of those ancient Greek statues. Man, those German philosophers were vicious types compared to many others, especially guys like Schopenhauer. Yeah, Schopenhauer was horrible. Schopenhauer is the philosopher we use to impact turn human extinction. What does that mean? That means if you want to make the argument that actually human extinction is good, then you use Schopenhauer. So yeah, he's about the most pessimistic, I guess. I mean, the thing is, in my understanding of philosophy now, it's like those people weren't even doing philosophy really. But that's like with the benefit of hindsight, obviously. Because what philosophers before now have all mistakenly done, and it's understandable because they didn't have a cognitive function framework to, as a metaframe, is fail to recognize that whatever they're saying about the world is almost certainly a projection of their function bias. In other words, you can't meaningfully say anything about the world without first understanding yourself. And you can't meaningfully understand yourself without understanding different ways of paying attention. What is that in your photo? Let me see what it looks like. It looks like cranberries. I'm going to go cranberries. Oh, they're tomatoes. Okay. Yeah, Eric looks like he's from ancient Roman Greek. Yes, I do have some chores to be done. Horse chores. No, I don't have any horse chores, but I do have house chores. Spinoza, I'm not sure what his deal is, actually. You mentioned somebody there that I don't remember ever really cutting any of his shit or reading any of his stuff. So, I don't know. Well, I don't really think Eastern philosophies are philosophy either. A philosopher is trying to, first and foremost, understand things in terms of what kind of statements one can affirm, what kind of statements one ought to negate. Eastern philosophies are much more prescriptive, right? They're like, you should live like this. Whereas real philosophy is not about you should live like this. Although there's some prescriptive stuff. There's certainly normative stuff, but I mean, the point is, like, when you're talking about normative claims, like whether something's moral or not, that's appropriately philosophical. When you're talking about prescriptive claims, like whether something's a good idea or not, that's fundamentally not philosophical, right? That's like self-help. Those boots are in there. Okay, cool. All right, so Rachel's actually awake. I thought she was asleep. That's why I didn't take you with me. Here they are. They're over here. They were here the whole time. What do you think about balanced development? Is it possible? No. You mean intentionally? No. A human being fundamentally is a specific attentional configuration, which means it's a strategy towards attaining the prime directive, which is close the gap between expectations and reality, okay? It's a strategy towards attaining that necessarily prioritizes some forms of paying attention at the expense of others. So it is true that you can actualize more or less, but that has mostly to do with your circumstances, I think. I will scroll up to see what you said there, G. You had to water my bushes yesterday because we aren't getting any moisture, plus dilute the dog pee on the lawn. Yeah, right. They will leave yellow spots on your lawn. So I'm gonna scroll up so I can see what I couldn't see. And then we'll go take the trash out. We may even do it the difficult way. Real philosophy is a menu, like pick and choose whatever resonates most. No, that's like spirituality or something, what you're talking about. Philosophy is about accurately explaining things. Let's see. When it warms up, I need to go out and exercise Charlie. So the thing is, if you don't want to use the word philosophy because for some reason that's loaded, then say explaining things, you know. Actually explaining things is what I mean by real philosophy. And ideally, obviously, explaining things correctly. I need to go out through the garage. I think Kierkegaard got as close as anybody could get, really, without cognitive functions. Okay. This is the grossest trash by far. Cat litter trash, I'm gonna take the trash out to the street. All right. Let's just take up one trash can at a time. Okay. Trash number 2. Okay, now before taking the third trash can up, let's see if we have any more trash bags. Looks like I have to put in that third trash can. Sunshine's pretty coming through the trees. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to finally have some snow. Even if it's unlikely to stick around a long time, we might get a little bit more here for the weeks out. Okay. Trash bags. Yeah, this one is pretty full. Okay, this one. Take this trash here too. We'll put this in the trash can. I did me and Rachel's trash cans like just yesterday, so they're fine. There. Okay. Close this door. Put this in there too. It's empty. This has a full ashtray, I mean. I would take you up there with me, but I don't want to slip on the snow and fall on my ass and end up on one of those fails videos. Okay. Good job, Eric. You did a fine, fine job. Got all the trash up to the street. Now, what we have to do is put a new trash bag into 2 different trash cans. Hi, Diamond. Ice and snow is a natural fire retardant. Thanks for that, G. It's helpful. So, next we replace the trash bags. Then after that, I want to make a pot of coffee. Right over here. Now I remember. There. Okay, now it's time to make a pot of coffee. And then we're all going to sit down in the living room and we're going to reflect a little bit. We're going to do a few things. Okay, we're going to talk about some stuff. We're going to live, we're going to learn, we're going to love, we're going to laugh. And then we're going to learn some more. Because around here, we're lifelong learners. So get ready, because we've got a lot of learning to do. So I find it easier actually to use paper towels than a coffee filter. Oh, that's too much. Yeah. All right. Well, now that we've got that going, we can finally begin to truly live for the first time. Are you ready to truly live? You could delete it too, Caroline, after you put it. It'll be fine. My phone number's all over the place. Nobody ever calls me. Of course, I'm not a woman, so, you know. But, you know, I'm sexy AF. I'm gonna share this with you. Spring break! Eee! Hope you enjoyed that. I hope you did. I just cannot keep my clothes on during spring break. It's just, or Mardi Gras. I think it's coming close to Mardi Gras now, that's why. I can't help but show off. Showing off the A cups. Alright, so we made that coffee. Now what we need to do is we need to change out of these boots. These boots are made for walking, but I'm not going to be doing any walking anytime soon, so let's take these boots off. Ready? I'm going to show you how to take off your boots. That's true, Caroline. Your tomato picture isn't going to attract anybody. Except for tomato lovers, but even then, I thought they were cranberries. So. I just know how it goes because sometimes my wife live streams without me. Sometimes I watch those parts of them and she's relentlessly getting hit on. Relentless. All right. So, I'd say my sexiness score right now is about 50, but now it's gone up. You're just wondering about what? Do you think the practical world is very different from theory? Well, I mean, Sonia, I think that explanations are a different thing than experience, right? So, if I'm explaining something as to how it is or why it's that way, that doesn't have anything to do with your actual life, right? It just has to do with understanding things. And the thing is, we can understand all the world and the way things are only via language of some kind. And it's also the case that I got distracted by how's it like being old. Being old is fine. I mean, in some ways, it's much preferable to being young. But in other ways, it's got its disadvantages. You know, your your body starts to decline a bit. You know, who's SG anyway? Thank you for reminding me of my train of thought, Winston's mom. So it's a matter of understanding that when you're affirming certain statements, you're doing so for some kind of a reason. And that reason might be to explain something, might be to convince somebody of something, it might be to get somebody to do something, it might be to recommend a course of action for somebody else and not necessarily get them to do it. It could be for any number of reasons, right? So a lot of times you have people who don't know why they're affirming the statements they're affirming. Well, thanks, asphyxia. I hope I live long and with prosperity as well. Likewise to you, I hope you live long and with prosperity. I met a cute Canadian guy and he's sweet. I also met another Tunisian guy who's also sweet. Do I think that the end justifies the means? No, of course not. That's utilitarianism in a nutshell. It's not a normative framework at all. It's an excuse for not using a normative framework. Oh, a lot of affairs, says Rahul Viewer. Well, just because she's met a couple of people doesn't mean she's having affairs with them. She could just have said, "Hey there, cutie." And they're like, "You want to go get coffee sometime?" She's like, "Yeah, I do. I love drinking coffee with a cute boy." Woo! What'd you miss? Oh, you missed all the best stuff. As usual. Why do I just turn it off now? All the good stuff's done. I don't know what you missed. You met one woman who's so sweet, and that woman is here in live stream. Winston's mom is very sweet. You even took out the belt. Took out the belt. Why did you take out the belt? In some cases, though, it's lazy in a way to use it as a cop out. I think it can justify it, though. I mean, it may justify it for your own purposes, right? Like, I know this is wrong, but it's going to benefit me so much, I'm going to do it anyway, is something that people sometimes say, right? But they don't usually say that. They make other kinds of excuses. That somehow it's not wrong because the end justifies the means or something. The thing is, when we're calculating for the purposes of everybody, whether this is acceptable or not, then we can't have ends justifying means. It just doesn't work as a justification. Only those in the know will know, Eric. Fair enough. Fair enough. If you want to achieve something, shouldn't I do everything I can to do it? Well, no. I mean, like, let's say you want to achieve curing cancer, but you need several $1,000,000. That doesn't justify you stealing it from other people. After all, you might not succeed in curing cancer. And then, how could the ends possibly justify the means, right? The problem with ends justifying means is that you can't predict the outcome. You need a normative framework that tells you whether or not something's legitimate or illegitimate before you undertake the action, not after you've measured the impacts. The other problem is it's very difficult to measure all of the impacts on all of the parties, right? If it's depending on the kind of action it is. So even if even if it were the case that somehow calculating up all the impacts would allow us to know whether something was moral or not, it's basically impossible to calculate up all the impacts. Okay, well that's fine, Sonia, and that's fine. Look, I'm not saying that people never do the wrong thing because of situations. Sometimes situations may compel somebody to make choose between bad choices, you know. Um, but that doesn't mean that when we're analyzing their behavior after the fact or before the fact, even, that we don't say, you know, regardless, you're not justified in doing this. Let's say somebody's really hungry. Should they be able to steal a bread? Well, remember, the the moral responsibility to not steal existed this whole time alongside this person. And you know, they had even if there is a need, it doesn't justify stealing. So the thing is, well, that's not the case. I mean, that's not how the polio vaccine was developed. It's not the case that they experimented on people recklessly. In fact, Dr. Salk, who created the vaccine, administered it to his own kids first and his own family first to show that it was perfectly safe because people weren't sure what to think about it. But the thing is, the reason it's fine to experiment on people, quote unquote, in other words, have them be the control or test group in a experiment, is because they've consented to it. It's entirely consensual and fully informed consent. So if that's the case, then it's not a moral issue, right? You've got fully informed consent of the patient being experimented on, then there's no moral considerations. No, I wouldn't do everything or anything for my dream. That's how you end up with, you know, mass murderers and stuff, right? People who do anything for their dream, or think people like Hitler and Pol Pot, Ho Chi Minh, and other horrible dictators. People who are decent human beings uh, try to conscribe themselves such that they don't violate others' rights. The thing is, the most important thing to take away from this, though, is that the way that people justify things to themselves is one question, and the way that people, and whether or not that means that, whether or not that justification's adequate for everybody else is another question. I might justify to myself, like, okay, well, I'm going to, what do I justify doing bad? Like, I'm going to lie to the dentist if they call because I don't want to tell them the truth or something like that. I don't know. Like, if I were to, the dentist has called a couple times since I went to the dentist, but I haven't heard the phone ring when they were calling or anything. So, uh, if I had heard it ringing and I answered the phone and they're like, "What's going on?" I would have just said, probably, "Yeah, I've decided to put this off for a while, eh, for financial reasons, saying, rather than saying like, I don't like the way that appointment went down, rather than trying to, you know, rather than being a complainer, I guess. Just since I'm not going to go to that dentist anyway, then just say, so like I might justify that to myself. However, I could not, that would not justify it if I were caught, right? So if I were called out by the dentist, you're lying to me. That's not really the reason why you don't want to come back and continue the work or whatever. And then I have to say like, yeah, okay, you're right. I'm sorry. I should, if he were to make the speech like, at least have enough respect for me to tell me the truth. I'd be like, okay, I'm sorry. Because I wouldn't be able to defend my behavior if I were called out, right? Even though I might justify it to myself as not significant, just, saving me time. And I'd probably try to give it, not really give any reason if unless asked directly, which in case I'd probably just say, yeah. Yeah, I think we would all do some less than moral stuff to survive. And that's not the point of a moral framework. It's not to say that you will never do anything that calculates as immoral. It's instead to say that when you do things that have a moral they can be calculated on moral grounds, because not everything can be, but plenty of things, every action can be, or words can be. But most of the time, those things are just kind of neutral. They're not moral issues. Um, but yeah, how would I define what is good and bad morally? So, what's there are three statuses that a given action can incur. And an action is either an action with a normal kind of physical action, or it can be a word action, any kind of action, really. So, things can be either morally permissible, or morally obligatory. We understand things as morally impermissible when they violate rights. So there are only certain kinds of rights that qualify as rights, which is to say universalized. Those things stem from property rights, namely the fact that you own your own body. So it's always immoral for me to violate your bodily integrity, for example, either by punching you, stabbing you, whatever. There are certain circumstances where if it's consensual, and if it's some sort of consensual, like weird sex thing or something, then that's different matter, because it's not really the thing. It's a kind of a pantomime of the thing for different reasons. Anyway, human says what's good, right, and you should, but destroy civilization. Quite duality. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure where you're going with that. But the thing is, for statuses of morality, you have behaved wickedly if you violated the rights of another, or failed to follow through with your contractual obligation. So, for example, if I go through the drive-through McDonald's and I pay at the first window, McDonald's is then contractually obligated to give me my food at the second window. And if they refuse to do so, it's more or less the same as them stealing my money, right? So that those kind of positive obligations are always contractual if they're moral, right? So, um, I might have an obligation, a moral obligation to do something like cut your grass, but it would only be because I'd already accepted the money for it. So at that point, I'd have a moral obligation to either cut your grass or give you your money back, right? Um, and the thing to note here is that we don't have positive obligations to general things. Like there's no obligation to charity or obligation to be helpful in any way or stuff like that. So it's in, it is the case that you could sit and watch a child drown and not do anything to save the child and not be guilty of any wickedness. You don't have a moral obligation to do anything in that instance. But nevertheless, most of us would probably say regarding that person that they displayed callous indifference and we would judge them accordingly. Nevertheless, we wouldn't be able to convict them of a crime because you can't have an obligation to do something like that, to universalize this. Because if you did have an obligation to do something universalized, then I would be obligated to save the drowning child, even if I myself couldn't swim, or even if um, I, at that moment, were having severe stomach pains. You know. So the thing is, accordingly, we can only universalize things that are always true. You know. What do I think about USA military domination around the globe? Well, I don't think we have much USA military domination around the globe at all. I think in after 9/11, America foolishly, ill-advisedly, went and did all this mucking around in the Middle East, which was horrible, horrible bad idea. But right now, we aren't doing much of anything. I think that it's been incredibly unfortunate the way the use of military force has played out. For example, if the U.S. had, instead of wanting to liberate, yeah, I know there are military bases there, and they're in the Middle East to this day. I'm aware of that, but what I'm saying is we don't really have any hot wars going on right now. We've got kind of simmering conflicts and stuff, but we have obviously troops all around the world, but that doesn't mean we're engaged in military domination around the world, right? Arms and ammunition export, well, I think that's fine. You know, nothing wrong with making and selling guns. Anyway, I think the U.S. wasted its. I mean, we're giving guns for free to some countries, maybe. Um, I mean, I don't see any problem with the U.S. arming, supplying allies if it's in the U.S.'s interest. But whatever. The point is, the U.S. ought to have, instead of squandering its post World War II like correctness, we should have won Korea. We should have stayed out of Vietnam. If we couldn't win Korea, then if we were going to liberate some place after 9/11 for whatever God knows reason, we should have liberated North Korea. That actually would have been successful. And um, the North Koreans would have had a way to get normalized into Western society via their South Korean brethren, right? That would have been a sensible way to do that. If you insisted on having some kind of regime change shit. There's a problem because the taxpayers have to fund it and it's illegal not to pay them. Not to pay who? Uh, who do I think are the most powerful people in the USA? I mean, that changes. Obviously, you've got various rich people. Okay, well, here I am. The thing is this: Israel is not a country I'm talking about when I say, should we give people weapons and stuff? No, we should not be giving Israel weapons. They don't need our help. Okay. And they're not even necessarily the good guys in the region, right? I'm talking about Ukraine and Taiwan in particular, those two places. The United States ought to protect the sovereignty of those two allies and bring the full weight and force of the US military in order to do so. But I'm not saying we should be paying for Israeli weapons. The thing is it in the US's best interest that authoritarian, anti anti free and civil forces from China and Russia get checked? Absolutely. I just think it's messed up that you don't get a choice as a citizen if you disagree with the war or side with Palestine. Well, yeah, I mean that's what representatives do, right? They represent you, but not necessarily well. Do you think anyone controls the USA president? Uh, I mean, it's pretty clear nobody's running Trump's show except for Trump. Well, I think that the U.S. should have troops on the ground in Ukraine. I think not only should we be supplying Ukraine with guns and stuff, we should actually be there on the ground fighting against the Russians. We shouldn't fight against the Russians in Russian territory. In other words, don't escalate, right? Like just push the Russians out of Ukraine and then don't violate the sovereignty of Russia though. But Russia needs to understand that they need to be checked before they wreck themselves. It's not out of morality. Look, I'm not saying the US should you can't do things out of morality, okay? Right? It's like there's what you ought to do, what is virtuous, that's not a universal. So, but I think it's very much in everybody's interest, not just ours, in everybody's interest, that the U.S. take a hard line against authoritarian imperialism. They would be happily leave people to die if it doesn't benefit them to step in. Okay, well, I don't know if they would happily leave people to die. I think there's plenty of inclination in people in Washington and throughout the country to that we need to do something about these people who are being victimized in these ways. But I mean that's what I'm saying right now is like who's being victimized really? North Korean people are all being victimized. Do we want to go into North Korea? Well, it, you don't want to. They've got nuclear weapons, right? But what kind of the problem is they're so close to Seoul. So obviously South Korea doesn't want the US to do something that gets South Korea nuked. Do I think that political science? Do you think someone controls the UK kingdom? I don't know. Do you think that political science degree is useless? Uh, mm, maybe a little bit less useless than most liberal arts degrees, but I don't know. I stand for coconut flavored cashews and za'atar flavored cashews. Okay, bye, Rahul's viewer. Uh, za'atar over coconut every day, all day, every day. Za'atar, bitch. Get your coconut up out my face. What's za'atar? Is that a flavor? Let me see. I'm gonna Google it. Your meow went away. Za'atar. Come on. There. Search Google for za'atar. It's an herb, it's a spice mixture. I have no idea what that even tastes like. It must have its own flavor, I guess. What do you think of de-dollarization? I'm not sure what de-dollarization means. If you mean that you're not sure why, what do I think about the dollar becoming less of the default dominant currency or something? Or do you mean by that like countries getting rid of their dollars? You usually eat it's ground thyme that's made in the Middle East. You usually eat that for breakfast in the Middle East with olive oil and fresh bread. Hmm. Well, cool. Sounds good. Um, why am I not active on Quora? Because I just do YouTube instead. I'm live streaming instead. That's why. Answer all your questions right here. You mean back to G says back to the gold standard? Is that what de-dollarization means? I mean, I think it would be worthwhile for the U.S. to accept to formally link itself to some specific currency, like maybe Ethereum or something like that. By saying that the U.S. now accepts tax payments in this currency, and by doing that, then that would be just as effective as a gold standard. Butter plus boiled eggs plus za'atar equals heaven, equals divine. Diamond and KE are both, I think, originally from the Middle East. KE doesn't live in the Middle East now. But I think it's cool that I've got people from the Middle East at this live stream. Because, I have my opinions about things. Aren't necessarily gonna always fit nicely inside of a Islamic paradigm. I saw this funny thing, this funny video. Oh, hey, Japan. Konnichiwa. Ohio. Shimasu. What do you think about the exploitation of minerals from Africa? Well, I think that Africa would be much better off if it were America exploiting their resources rather than China. You know, I'm not from the Middle East technically. All right, fine. The herbal plant is referred to in English as Bible hyssop or Syrian oregano, but the mixture is just called za'atar. Celery and oregano. Does it taste like oregano? Sumac. I can't even think of what sumac tastes like. Do I have a favorite MBTI type? No, I mean, yes, but it's like everybody is going to have an equivalent favorite type. Your favorite type is going to be either your dual or your mirage, depending on depending somewhat on whether you're a sensor or an intuitive. Do you history can be used for brainwash? Do I think history can be used for brainwashing people? Um, well, I mean, sure, in some sense. Like in China, they definitely indoctrinate all the people in their country such that nobody ever criticizes the government. I went over there and taught debate, and it's very you need lots of permission for everything you do. Which character from Avatar: The Last Airbender is my favorite? I don't know. The girl, I guess. Keep the USA off of my lands, please, and thank you. Where are your lands? Are you from Africa? I mean, if you think you want China there, you're crazy, KE. I remember that I lived in China for months, okay? You cannot drink the water in China. You know why? Not because it makes you poop, because you get heavy metal poisoning. The air pollution, even in Shanghai, which is a coastal city, is so bad some days you can see it just from the window. It's crazy. Um, China does a horrifically poor job of everything in their own country. Okay. Like the gap between the top of my door and the door frame in this very high end apartment that I was living in Shanghai, where everybody lived, that apartment had like Mercedeses and everything. No, not all of it's polluted, but the point is, if you want somebody to come collaborate with you in terms of exploiting your resources, you definitely don't want it to be China because they're going to leave you just a toxic site of disaster. America will be a little bit better about it than that. How do we know whether whatever is written in history books is correct? Um, well, we don't necessarily, but there's in plenty of instances no particular reason to doubt a given account of things. So, World War II happened, for example. I don't think anybody disputes that. Um, in the end, the Allies powers won. I don't think anybody disputes that. We have some footage, plenty of film footage to see, massive amounts of ships sailing across the ocean, destruction, nuclear bombs blowing up, and stuff like that. So we can see plenty of history by watching the video of it, and then the rest of it is how we thread those kind of evidentiary bits together into a story, right? And different people make different stories about the same data sometimes. Making a lot of assumptions based on no on the ground knowledge. Who, me, KE? Well, it's true that I'm saying if China um, can't do better than I've articulated in Shanghai, their nicest and fanciest city, then why would you think they do a good job in somebody else's country? It's true that I'm saying that, rather than saying I have evidence here. I can give you this example. In their deal with Montenegro, they wrote it up so that if Montenegro fails to pay back this loan, this massive loan they took from China in order to build this stupid highway that they didn't need at all, with this incredibly massive long bridge over this huge gorge, uh, that then China collects on the defaulted loan by seizing Montenegro's territory. How do you like that? Is that a good deal? Yeah, I think I'm a healthy ENTP. Oh, you're from Montenegro. Well, maybe what do you feel about the Chinese investment in Montenegro? So there you go, KE. Now I'm no longer just extrapolating from the fact that China sucks in their own country. I'm giving you a concrete example of their exploitative ways. Yeah, I think I'm a healthy ENTP. I mean, I'm healthy. I'm definitely healthy for others, right? Like I'm not toxic in any way, but I'm not entirely healthy in that I've got quite a bit of self-loathing slash. I don't know. I've got quasi Tourette's. What would happen if there's no political ideology in the country? Well, like if there were no ideologues in the United States, then we just have statesmen, right? Just dispassionate, disinterested, intelligent people making decisions about what's best for the country, predicated on what has argumentational primacy. But unfortunately, ideology and passion go hand in hand. You think we have control over our actions? I think we have responsibility for them. If you're asking, do I believe in free will? Yeah. Hi, gaming. How's it going? So I think what you have is individual leaders, quote unquote, in small countries who are indulged in by China in some sort of stupid vanity project to the bad of their country. That's an example of Montenegro thing. Or are seduced by the Chinese into selling out their country's interests in ways that are not good. You think someone is controlling us? No, I don't think anyone's controlling us. Do you mean, do I think there's a platypus controlling me underneath the table? No, I don't think there's a platypus controlling us. Oh, I get it. A platypus is whatever's keeping you down. Mm-hmm. The government's a platypus. Corporations are a platypus.
If those jeans are annoying you, there's freshly laundered pants for you in the dryer.
Okay, thanks. Maybe I should sew. Where do you think our thoughts are first made? Well, like in this instance, first I read your question and I understood what the words mean. And then I said to myself, I didn't say it to myself. I just started answering it, The point is, we're always paying attention in some way, Sonia. So it's like, in that instance, when I read your words and then thought about what they meant, that's using TI or introverted thinking to be correct about what the words mean. And then when I'm answering your question, I'm using both introverted sensing, which is to say, uh,
Thank you, Caroline.
which is to say, I'm extrovertedly intuiting as well. So I'm extrovertedly sensing, which is to say, I'm drawing from information I already had in my memory because I've learned it before. And then I'm also extrovertedly intuiting, which is to say, I'm making new words about something I already knew, putting it in a new way, answering your question in a different way. And accordingly, that's how I'm paying attention. You say, where do you think our thoughts are first made? It's like, what about this one, Sonia? Where do you think your hurt knee is first made? It's made in your knee when you bang your knee, right? You bang your knee and you go, ow, and you feel pain in your knee. You don't worry about where that comes from because it's very easy to determine that when you it comes from the fact that you banged your knee into that thing. But that's just you paying attention via SI. It's a way that you know about your body. Okay. So you know about your body via physical sensations of your body. You come up with words via attention called a form of attention called extroverted intuition. You understand what words mean by one of the deliberation functions, etc.
But like sometimes ideas can happen in your dreams and stuff. Like a lot of times, people who are musically inclined, like even you, have a dream about a melody, and it'll come out of nowhere. Like it's a God thing.
Right. Well, I mean, I actually think it's kind of the same thing as the Mandela effect, which is to say, the Mandela effect can be best described as remembering things as they should have been rather than as they are.
That's interesting.
So, kind of receiving a um, melody from the ether is kind of the same thing. It's like you're you're remembering, except with introverted intuition instead of SI, uh, something
Ah,
that as it should be rather than as it is, right?
yeah.
I think our parents' thoughts telling something in our baby have big impact in our current decision. So you think that how our parents talk to us as babies? Well, I mean, we are impacted by our environment and stuff. So that's gonna it's like Rachel grew up in a less intuitive, friendly environment than I did. And accordingly, she's a more cautious INFJ, and I'm a less cautious ENTP because how much you experience the world accepting you for who you are and celebrating you for who you are is going to have a lot to do with um, how how comfortably you move and confidently you move through the world versus how carefully, right? Denise Geller, I'm doing well. How are you? Maybe not just talk, but how they behave. Butterfly make hurricane. This is the thing. I want to call those chaos people out. Butterflies do not make hurricanes, okay? It okay, but you kill for money? I don't kill for money. Do you think I was a hitman? I'm not a hitman. I've never had anybody look at me and say, "You seem like you do this job."
No.
So I do think that your environment has something to do with how you turn out in a couple of different ways, but it doesn't change your cognitive function stack at all. In other words, even if I were raised by different parents in a totally different environment, I'd still be an ENTP, which is to say I'd have extroverted intuition, be a talker first and foremost, and be about understanding words for what they mean rather than for what they don't mean rather than what they do. Okay. So, in other words, if you're parsing things with inward thinking, you're saying I'm conveying meaning with these words. Accordingly, I don't mean anything but these specific things with these words. I let 5 people die. I did? Who? Which 5 people did I let die? I'm curious about this one. One can do both contextually. One can do both what? I mean, I'm curious to see where he's going with this. I've never been accused of letting 5 people die before. Can we know how our thoughts are processed? What do you mean by processed? Like, if you're asking, can I know exactly how and why it came to be that I'm having this conversation? Not really.
Don't like cognitive functions kind of affect the way that our thought processes?
Well, they affect our cognitive functions, but the point is, like, if I'm thinking with introverted thinking, that is my thought process, right?
Yeah.
That's my cognitive
Right.
function.
Yeah.
There's no more explanation than that, right?
That's right. But it does involve your thinking.
Yeah, so your thoughts are processed, your feelings are processed. The thing is, you can decide, you can know, you can take action in a couple of different ways. And those are the only kind of ways of paying attention that there are. It's just that each of those has two alternatives, either communicative or experiential.
Some people, all people process thoughts, obviously, but some don't like to stay in the thought process too long and they want to act instead.
Right. So if I'm digging a hole, I may be like, maybe it's kind of difficult soil to dig through. It's like rocks and stuff. I'm paying attention to digging the hole and trying to be efficient at digging the hole, which means I'm not really thinking in terms of words. I'm nevertheless doing some kind of processing of empirics, right? I warn you, my purse will stay here.
These are funny statements.
Okay, I am hereby warned. What's in your purse? Should I be concerned?
You should do a YouTube segment of what do I carry in my purse?
What's inside my purse?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Would you like me to show you what's inside my purse?
Ooh, that's a good one.
This is my purse. What's inside my purse? I'm Rebecca. You think you're smart, but you're not. Oh, Rebecca, you're such a bitch. Like, hello, my name is Dottie. I just want to say hello to everybody.
Oh, thank you for translating.
What's this girl's name again?
Bending Denise lady.
No, but I know that one.
Oh, she's DJ.
DJ, right. Hi, everybody. I'm DJ. I'm not weird knees lady. Thanks a lot, Tiffany. Okay, so this horrible little woman named Tiffany, she calls me weird knees lady. But my knees are normal. My legs bend fine. Hers don't even bend. Oh my God, was that weird? This lady I just heard? My name's not Weird Knees Lady, okay? I have regular knees. Your knees are weird. Look at it. Why are your knees so strange? Take a look, everybody. It's got this little line here. It's so they can bend like normal knees. You want to steal money and just go away. Do I today? TF is wrong with him. Nothing, Miami Retro. TF is wrong with you.
It's called a creative mind.
Miami Retro, there's nothing South Beach about you, and you're totally contemporary. You just got schooled. You just got schooled, motherfucker. I sound like that Jimmy Fallon skit. I'm not familiar with any of his work, really.
There's like a segment where like there's these he dresses as a teenage girl or tween girl, and they're like, oh my god, like I have such a crush on Timmy. Oh.
Have any of you seen a blonde lady? She stole my clothes. I didn't steal your clothes. I found them. And you lost them. I did not lose them. I was wearing them. Losers or winners? All right. You mean Tiffany?
Tiffany's voice is classic.
Don't even try to compare me to anybody.
Oh.
I'm tougher. Can't buy nickel fools, Grandma. That doesn't make any sense. Miami Retro. You need to get out of South Beach, motherfucker. Is daydreaming a problem? No, I don't think so.
It's funny that you say that, Sonia, because I just listened to a YouTube that said that very briefly that daydream is actually like a higher. It's a high form of meditation. And it's a spiritual video, so it's kind of leaning towards that sort of ideation.
What about night dreaming? Does that count as meditation too?
I don't know.
I'm gonna go outside and have a rill. Have a rillo. I might want to end up with an expert. I need a guy who isn't a homebody. Well, I'm an extrovert and I'm a homebody, so make of that what you will.
I feel like I'm lucky though, because I don't think it doesn't seem like you were always a homebody. Well,
I mean, no, I used, obviously, well, I mean, the thing is, I used to be a homebody, but the only difference was I'd probably be making more stuff than I am now. You know? but I never really wanted to travel per se. I feel like I am in some physical body. You are in a physical body. You are in your body, Sonia. Congratulations. You finally made it. You have corporeal form. Namely, you're not just a consciousness anymore. Now you have a body. I'm so proud of you.
I'm so proud of you too.
Well, at KE, that makes sense that you can only date introverts. Because you are an extrovert. Which is why people are always telling you, why don't you pipe down, extrovert? Why don't you shut your caw hole? Okay, let's go back over here. I can't. Is the window still open? Hold on. Just wait here a second. I'll be right back. Okay, there. Now I can see your chat through the window. I said it is nothing. Well, I'm sorry that you're sad that it is nothing. Potatoes, potatoes, potatoes. A sack of delicious potatoes that we turned into mashed potatoes with a generous amount of olive oil. Yummy. Sounds absolutely delicious. That crow is calling. Ah, ah, ah. Ah, ah, ah. Ah, ah, ah. And he's talking to me. Ah, ah, ah. Think I sound like a crow? I think I sound pretty good. You guys know what I was saying? I was saying, can you pipe down, please? People are trying to chill out over here. We don't want to be deafened with your constant cawing. He's like, why don't you shut up? And finally he's like, oh, you're not even a crow? All right, man, I'll pipe down. Do a backflip to entertain you? I can't do any backflips. I can't even do any front flips, I'm sorry to say. I am flip free, but I can. Would you like me to do the thug shake for you? I could do the thug shake. It's a dance. Perhaps you've heard about it. Here you go. Are you ready? You've got to do the thug shake. You've got to do the thug shake. You get to do the thug shake. Shake, shake, shake. There you go. Have you ever spake for the trees? Not really. I mean, sure, a little bit, but thanks, Rachel. Thanks, appreciate it. That's how I won Dancing with the Stars. Which star was I paired with? I was paired with Eva Longoria. Eva Longoria and I won Dancing with the Stars. Do you know that there's a baseball player whose name I believe is Evan Longoria? Isn't that odd? His last name is Longoria. I think it's Evan. Don't name your kid Evan if your last name's Longoria. Longoria is a kind of an odd name, huh? Which so is my beloved wife's maiden name, Lapalosa. Thank you. Thank you for the, that flower is called the hibiscus. Thank you for the hibiscus flower. This flower is so pretty. I love it. I'm going to put it on my mantle. Have we slept? Yeah, I just got up not that long ago. I slept a good amount of time. Not quite 8 hours, but probably about 7. Yeah, it's nice with the snow. And it's like the weather report keeps changing its mind as to whether we're going to get any more rain from this system or in this upcoming week. I got one of these like weather alert things with a snowflake on it like yesterday, and then today is showing nothing coming up at all. So I don't know. Let's see. It's just showing sunny days all week now. It shows a little bit of clouds on Thursday, a little bit of clouds on Friday, but not any actual rain. Hopefully, oh no, it's showing on Saturday now. Okay. It just pushed it back a day. Well, at least we get a little bit of rain on Saturday.
That's good.
Supposedly in the middle of the day. So in that case, it'll be rain. All right, well, that's good. At least we get a little bit more water. I am already pre-oiled. T2 says, we have different opinions, but you cool. Santa Claus? There's no E on the end of it. This isn't a Tim Allen movie. I'm the actual Santa Claus. This is one of my elves. This is my number one elf.
Thanks.
Mrs. Claus. Chris Kringle's fine too. I'm not Jewish. Signatist 8786. I'm Christian. There is a very cool podcast I listen to sometimes called Behind the Bastards. They've just done a series on Diddy in jail. I got very much interested in that whole Diddy case. I'm still interested in it, but it's also so dark, you know. You want a toy? Okay, would you like a My Little Pony, or would you like a Chutes and Ladders? What type of any is worst at sex? Let's just leave that question alone, shall we? My hairline is brighter than your future. What hairline? Protect the booty. Okay. What are you smelling?
Cat pee?
Oh, that's fine then.
Maybe it's just the weed. Maybe it's just marijuana.
Well, I'm obviously not trying not to go bald. Yeah, I must be expert at intuition. It's fair to say that, you know, too many words, too many words and sex don't go together very well. I am balding. Well, I'm mostly bald, you know. Nightbot has come to the chat. Welcome, Nightbot. How are you? Does Nightbot always refer to Nightbot in Nightbot's third person? It's interesting to be in a situation that's supposed to be hot, but it's funny. Well, I mean, it's like, for you, it's got to be weird to deal with SE polar, right? SE eighth isn't much better. That's the bottom line. Is it's going to correlate with SE probably. At least you can wear that bald head as a trophy for coming this far. Okay, Signatist. Night is pretty clever. Nightbot has multiple persons in multiple dimensions and universes, so the answer is yes, we do. Don't you mean yes, Nightbots do? I believe you mean yes, Nightbots do. Should child support even be a mandatory thing? I mean, it's a complicated issue. But yeah, probably. Yes, we as Nightbot do, we, us, them. Okay, I see. All right, fine. I think child support should only be for a non-active father. Oh, well, yeah, I mean, I never paid any child support because I never had less than 50% custody of my child. I think locking people up for not paying it is bad. I didn't pay anything in child support. Why should I pay child support when I have more than 50% custody? I mean, I wanted 100% custody, but unfortunately, I couldn't have that. If Nightbot was human, Nightbot thinks pizza would be tasty. Well, Nightbot's not wrong. I also didn't pay anything in alimony. Did I have a parent plan? What's that mean? Apparently not. I mean, I had a plan as a parent, I guess. Sort of. I think kids who have like 10 kids and don't care for any of them made their own child support bed. It's more common than you might think. I had no idea they threw people in jail for that. KE, I would totally use you as training equipment, says the man with a great machete. That's an interesting thing to say. Don't sleep with crazy women who are vindictive either. Okay, I won't. I'll just sleep with Rachel. That's all the sleep with I need. Or want. What have you learned from the life you lived? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just getting started, really. I've got a lot of life left in front of me. But lessons that I learned: poop when you can. Don't wait till you have to. Um, to be cautious with people. Don't be reckless with other people's feelings and stuff. I was with a vindictive woman before, dodged a bullet there. Yeah, she's horrible. She was horrible. Katie, did you promise to be used as exercise equipment? That's what the man with the gray machete is planning, I think. Hi, Daniel Fitzsimmons. Sip with you as well. I will reciprocate the question. I'll answer your question by saying nada mucho. That's Spanish for not much. Let's go maybe have a little bit of nourishments. I'm gonna have to this first. Yeah, Kimberly was horrible. She was a real nightmare. But I guess on some level, I needed to experience that for myself, so I would better understand what it means to be in an abusive relationship. Has that understanding helped me much? It's helped me explain things plenty of times, and that's significant enough to me. Though that's the hottest thing anyone has told me on this chat. You have won the lottery of pickup lines. Wow. Good job. Like, I guess me telling KE that she's wrong about anime hasn't qualified. That's what you knocked out of what was previously for first place. It wasn't even a pickup line, just me correcting her. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I guess you could say I dodged a bullet, but mostly she was so awful that she made it impossible for me to stay with her. Okay, I will read it to you, Caroline. I would totally use you as training equipment. Training equipment. I saw this funny video of this Asian couple. Like the guy was dropping off his girlfriend, and they had this handshake before. He's like, "Hold on." He's like, "Wait, give me the handshake." And they went like, "Bam, bam, bam, bam." And at the end, she goes like this, and he puts his finger in here, and she goes, "Eh." It was funny. That's a cool handshake. Jeremiah Fix. Oh, Jeremiah Fix. That is some. I don't know. I guess double face palm is the word that comes to mind. No, that's not it, Jeremiah Fix. Oh. It's fine. It's fine. You're probably. I don't even want to say it because then we're going to get in an argument about your type. But I do believe I know what type you are. And it's okay because it's not your fault that you're not that aware of that stuff. Mm. Let's play peekaboo. Are you surprised to see me? Microwave you some noodles. It's a beautiful day, cool and gray. I'm going out on the sea anyway and make some waves. Burp them sails. Meow, 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 meow. Let me get some feet pics to help you financially. No, thank you. Feet pictures. Jeremiah, I'm gonna have to agree with Katie here. Negative self-talk is really bad. I engage in a lot of it too, but I wish I didn't. I'm not telling you to do as I say and not as I do, but I'm saying you don't want to get pseudo Tourette's like me. I'm gonna quit my job, my car job, for a cannabis sales rep job. My interview is at 1:30. I don't know if that's a good idea, Gustavo. People need car mechanics a lot more than they need cannabis sales reps. On the one hand, I embarrassed you guys secondhand crunch. Jeremiah, yeah. I'm pleased to see that you recognize that. Do I believe in karma? Well, yes, but not in the traditional sense. Like all the karma that I've incurred, a lot of it anyway, is that I pay for my misdeeds from the past in an ongoing way by hating myself for them and thinking about it. And yeah, do I like Bob Dylan? No, I dislike Bob Dylan.
Would you like me to heat something up?
What are you making?
I'm making chicken parm.
Um, no thanks.
Okay.
I have watched Attack on Titan. It was good. Yeah, and with a great machete, you could be telling it to me as well, you know. I typically don't allow others to see it, but I engage in plenty of negative self talk. Like, I don't know. I seem to be kind of on the rebound from that habit. But you know, we all get pathological in our self concept sometimes. It's difficult not to. You know, if you ever worry about your appearance, think about me, right? How far do you think its political narrative was correct? I didn't see it as having any particular political narrative. It was just a story about, it was like, it kind of wanted to be, when the concept of relationship, unfortunately, it does, because no matter how good a personality is, if you can't see yourself wanting to make out with a person, it's torture for both parties. Sure, but the point is that for a man, you can be attractive without being very conventionally attractive. Plenty of people seem to find me attractive just because I have a YouTube channel, I guess, and because I carry myself in a certain way, I guess. But it's not because I actually am attractive. Right? Although, who was it? Somebody was here. Oh, Aga. Aga told me the other day that I had a nice buttocks. Bus is going to come. Bye, Jeremiah. Have a nice bus ride. Um, so it's like I wouldn't even think about that kind of thing as being part of physical attractiveness. I just think about my face mostly. But it was only because the only reason it was sad, I guess, is because I was painting and my pants were kind of falling down. As they always do because I have high hip syndrome. But it's really easy to feel comfortable and confident from the confines of a good relationship. It's a lot more difficult to do so when you're single and not being successful in dating and stuff. Do I have an OnlyFans? No. Yes, your attraction is non-negotiable, but it does not matter. You face rejection, but there are lots of people out there. Indeed, it's good to taste vary. That way, most people can experience attraction. That's fair. What do you think the price that have paid about freedom? What do I think about the price paid for freedom? I mean, there are many prices paid for freedom. You know, it's like in the book The Giver. It might seem dangerous for people to choose for themselves because they might make the wrong choice, but ultimately it's better than the alternative because it's not like somebody else can better choose for you. I see. Things like a dead a dead non-aborted sibling fetus stuck to their side of their head. That's gonna bother you. What is good grooming techniques? You're asking me. You're asking me. Well, you want to, not this. Does the price that we pay for our dream justify it? Depends what your dream is. It depends how goal oriented you are too. Are you just going through the motions, or are you genuinely passionate about the thing you're doing? Are you upset at yourself because you're failing to do what you think you should be doing because of procrastination or something? Like, I need more details to give you more meaningful answers, Sonia. And by the way, thank you for your interesting questions, though. Oh, great. The neighbors are fighting again. These people, they just fight and fight. The new neighbors. The old. I thought the old neighbors were bad. I was super happy when the old neighbors moved away. What kind of bird is that? What is that? Looks like a frog almost. Did you guys hear that? Stop talking when I came over here. I don't see anything. Well, some kind of animal is making that noise. Ooh, look at this. It's probably not a print. It's probably... No, maybe it is prints. Prints of what? What kind of animal makes this print? What kind of animal's print is that, do you think? I don't know either. Pretty big, though. It's pretty big footprint for like a cat, for example, if it's a cat, or it could be a small bear, maybe. I don't know what it is. Mountain lion? Johnny just says a mountain lion. Well, good thing it didn't eat my cats. One day they're bound to get eaten up here, you know. Loud and name calling, you're a loser. On this occasion, the argument was like, so you're just gonna ruin the whole fucking day and meh, 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 meh. Oh, they're not necessarily throwing at things. Aaron could never be free in the way he conceived freedom to be. She certainly is Scoldy. I don't know. they're brand new, you know. I mean, I don't even know exactly who she's fighting with, because but there's a kid there too, you know, so it's pretty depressing. They're worse than the old neighbors.
Are they still at it?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't mind talking loud either.
No, Rachel, let's not play that game. Let's not do that.
Okay.
If we're gonna do that, let's be a little bit more pre-planned about it.
Okay.
All right.
Why are they even home?
I
Oh my
mean,
god, you're so loud. It's like there's like no one else on earth except for them. You're so
they're
loud.
being comparatively quiet right now.
Fuck that.
You just said, "Go, get out of my house." You can't hear them at all in the stream. Oh, I guess my mic's not designed to pick up that kind of stuff, huh? It's designed to pick up your voice and not background noise. So it's understandable you guys can't hear it. Well, you know, I'm not 100% convinced that, I don't know who that is, but she said, "Get out of my house," which suggests that maybe he does live there. I don't know. Whoever it is, she's yelling
They
at.
split rent.
Well, if they split rent, then she wouldn't say, "Get out of my house."
House.
You know. So I don't know what that's all about. What do you think about rumbling of Aaron in Attack on Titan? Um, I mean, it's basically a metaphor for using nuclear bombs. Yeah, there's a kid over there. It's unfortunate, but I don't know what to do about it.
There's nothing really. I mean, I'm just like, we just had neighbors who were.
Yeah.
They just need to break up. They shouldn't have moved in together. It's a bad idea.
I mean, we're not even sure if they do live together.
Oh, like he.
Who knows?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I know.
The state of their nails or their lack of taste in furniture. So I think the rumbling is a metaphor for nuclear weapons. You know, how far are you willing to go to protect your own interests? And ideally, less than all the way, right? Ideally, you're not willing to destroy the rest of the world, no matter how relentlessly they are threatening your interests. But it's also, you know, messages like when you when you imp- implement injustice, there's going to be blowback. I've tried working against it, but I think my unwillingness. I don't. You trust your FI, Kate. Trust your FI. Okay. You trust that little spark of FI inside of you and say, "Grow into a beautiful flame." Elaborate a little bit. Uh, well, I think, you know, the question is, it's obviously somewhat a metaphor for World War II, and uh, obviously the people on the island represent the Jews, and they also were being persecuted in this other country, which I forget the name of at the moment, but uh, I think it did a good job of showing that injustice breeds pushback, I guess. I don't know. Not much else to say about it. I don't view it so much in those terms. I view it as a story. FI doesn't equal first instinct. It equals introverted feeling. So it's like, what's authentic to you? What you actually care about? What's important to you? If we're talking about what's important to you, precious to you, then that's FI. If we're talking about how to get that thing that's precious to you, it's TE. Those are two of them, anyway. I do trust it, but I'm just saying sometimes I want to give peeps a chance because they have great personality. I like them in many other ways. What was that you saw? What was what I saw? You mean how did I interpret it? Attack on Titan. I just watched it as a story. I didn't try to make too much of it. Um, in contrast, when I was watching Lost, I had multiple theories going on as to what was happening. None of which were really correct. There wasn't really any explanation of why the island was like that and stuff. Trust your gut is picking up on something. When you give someone a chance, you always regret it. You don't give people a chance, in general, too much. It's like if there's not any chemistry, it's unlikely to develop. No, but this is a subjective thing, Katie. It's not supposed to be fair. It's supposed to be you need to be selective about what's going to be important to you. You can't prioritize fairness. Otherwise, you end up, you know, if you're FI polar, you end up in a relationship with Kimberly, like I was, where she's always hurting my feelings, and I'm trying to be fair. In that instance, all I can say about that is fairness, schmairness. The whole situation is fundamentally unfair because it's like the other person doesn't want you to be fair. They want you to authentically be interested in them. They don't want you to. They might say they want you to give them a chance, but even if you did and somehow you ended up together, that would be probably a sore spot for a while. So that's cool. Oh, it was a mountain lion? You mean the tracks I saw? People here said they were mountain lion tracks. I also have some rabbit tracks here. I think they're rabbit tracks. You can see the rabbit tracks right here. Those things of three. I'm pretty sure that's a rabbit. My ick is cheap smelling perfume. Do you like expensive perfume? Mountain lion always step in the same track as the front leg, so that's your cue. Oh, didn't know that. Do you think I'm right about the rabbit tracks? Hi, Archer. You think those are rabbit tracks, Johnny Joe? If you know that about mountain lions, you probably can say yes, those are rabbit tracks, or no, they're not. Archer, how you doing? Are you shooting arrows everywhere you go? Like Cam Scattaboo after he scores a touchdown? Was it? Oh, I couldn't find what it was. I couldn't ever see what it was. When I got closer to the sound, it stopped making that sound, and then I couldn't see what it was. I'll show it right now. It's these three things. What do you think? So I can't imagine why I would have just three things, but I don't know what else is like that size, really. You didn't just find out what? You just find out why it's nice, why it is fair to be nice in this case? Fairer to be nice or nicer to be fair? Yeah, rabbit tracks. I know there are rabbits around here because sometimes we'll see their fur comes off on like bushes and stuff, gathers like by the side of the road. I wonder if the mountain lion was going after that rabbit, but then he lost track of him, I guess, because the rabbit went that way and the mountain lion went that way. I've never seen a mountain lion up here. I've seen bobcats, a couple of little bobcats, but I've never seen a mountain lion. But I've seen their tracks in the snow on more than one occasion. So there's not snow on the ground that much around here. So accordingly, they probably come around fairly often. Sometimes squirrel tracks look like rabbit tracks in the old snow. Yeah, I think I know what squirrel tracks look like because although I don't really see any. Maybe I don't know. Regardless, there are various animals around here. We've seen a bear before. We've seen two bears. Right? I've seen one bear. Rachel's seen another bear while we were together that I didn't see because I was driving. It was dark. Oh yeah, cats are inside outside cats, although they mostly stay inside. I was followed by a mountain lion for about 5 miles, 0.5 miles in Colorado. Really? Do you think it was because he was trying to find his way back to the parking lot? Have you guys seen that video of, there's probably more than one of these, but there's at least one that's fairly famous, I think, of this guy filming as a mountain lion is like coming down the path and like going like this and rah, at him and he's trying to back away. I think it had cubs. It's difficult to describe the smell, but it stings your nose and isn't pleasant. Are you talking about my butthole? That's a strange way to describe my butthole. Stings the nose and isn't pleasant. My father wears that. Oh, Dracar Noir. Yeah. Well, it seems as though Home Fries is driving away from the other place. Or at least moving his car. I'm not sure. If that's the case, I don't think I'll hear any more fighting. Oh, he's just parked around the side of the road up there, so. Pissed versus exalted. One could have been in Mariposa easily. See, so many blackberries have tracker belts on them, all of them. They get chased out when they do to Curry Village, so bears stay out of the valley. Wander around the perimeters of Yosemite. Oh, yeah, we've seen a bear here because this is we're actually, I guess we're probably equally close to both in some sense, but we're we have the Sierra National Forest all around us, which is not the Yosemite National Park. I see you, Johnny Doe. Thanks for the info. Appreciate it. I'm the most nitpicky, says KE. I'm the most nitpicky one you'll know. I'm nitpicking you, so you better watch out. I'm nitpicking Kay, and I'm gonna nitpick all the time that I go out with you, and I'll say it's wrong with you. You got a thing on your thing. Get it off, or I'm gonna bolt. Is that the rap you do when you're dating, KE? Ooh, we're opposite Venuses and opposite sun signs. Hmm. Opposite Venuses, opposite sun signs. So does that mean her Venus is lowering while yours is rising, and her sun is on the opposite side of the calendar or something? Not critical in love, contrary to the archetype. It's good to not be critical when you're in a relationship. Criticism kills love. The wise words of Becky. It's important to nitpick when you're choosing a partner, but once you're with somebody, you shouldn't be critical. I mean, regardless, you can nitpick in your head without being critical, out loud too. It's good to be very picky, but once you've selected, you got to kind of go all in, right? Otherwise, you'll end up like that bitch across the street. Full of nothing but scoldings and horror. Smells good in here. What's that wonderful smell? I guess it's Rachel cooked that Italian food. Coffee beans to cleanse your nose of smells. I prefer to walk around with a nosegay, which is to say some kind of flower or something. So that when I walk past the open sewers of Paris, I just smell my flower. Okay. It's 11:30. I told myself I wanted to end this stream before noon. There's a couple things I want to do today. I need to call Delilah, for example. So I think I'm going to wrap it up now and maybe stream again later. Thank you all for being here. I love you all, and I'll see you later.